Welcome back, everybody, to the Dependent Fanatic channel, the SEC. Its time has come, and we're going to go through all the predictions. I think 4 teams have a legitimate shot for the SEC championship. Here we go. We're going to start from the bottom up in both divisions. We're going to do one division and then the other. This time is the West. And I think everyone is beating up on Alabama, right? Because they lost their quarterback. Well, back when Alabama was winning national titles, it was Greg McElroy and some others that didn't go very highly in the NFL draft. So, and Georgia now took their place doing that with Stetson Bennett. Ohio State went to quarterback heavy offensive system, and look what has happened. Michigan and Georgia have it going on right now, in my opinion. Build the team, the quarterback will come. I think Alabama is going back to that type of a system. Saban isn't dumb. He knows cycles, and he knows how to capitalize on those cycles. But also, you have Georgia, you have Tennessee, and you have LSU. So them are my top 4 teams. So we're going to start with Texas A&M though, and I'm going to give you wins and losses for everyone. You can see their opponent's win-loss record from last season right there, and the date and where it's at. So I'm just going to tell you win-loss for everyone. This is my predictions for the SEC. New Mexico at home is a win, of course. I think they win at Miami. Jimbo Fisher has to win that game to keep his job, right? ULM at home is a win, but Auburn, I believe, is a loss for Texas A&M. I like Auburn. I like Hugh Freeze as a coach, not as a person. Arkansas at a neutral site game is a loss. Alabama is a loss. At Tennessee is a loss. And then Texas A&M gets their bye, and South Carolina is a win at home, which is their biggest win of the season. At Miss is a loss. Mississippi State at home is a win without RIP Mike Leach. ABC is Abilene Christian, and that's a win. And at LSU is a loss. So 6-6 for Texas A&M, which means I believe every SEC West team will make a bowl. And let's go to Mississippi State. The lack of the non-con. People laugh at the Big Ten, but you got Southeast Louisiana win. Arizona is a win. At LSU is a loss. At South Carolina is a loss. At Alabama is a loss. Wow. You can't get a harder 3-game schedule than that. LSU at home, at South Carolina, and Alabama. Western Michigan is a win, though. And then you get your bye. At Arkansas, though, loss. At Auburn, loss. Kentucky is a win at home. I think you are better than them. But at Texas A&M is a loss. And Southern Miss is a win. And then you beat Ole Miss again in the Egg Bowl. And you go bowling. 6-6 for Mississippi State. Auburn is the next team in the West, and I think they beat Massachusetts, obviously. Auburn got, they got Hugh Freeze. They got Peyton Thorne from MSU, which is a pretty good quarterback in the Big Ten. I think that he's going to get them to a bowl game. At Cal is a win. Samford win. Texas A&M at home, like I said, was a win. Georgia is a loss, and then you get by, but doesn't matter. At LSU, loss. Mississippi at home is a loss. as well. But Mississippi State at home is a win. At Vanderbilt is a win. Arkansas at Arkansas is a loss. And no, New Mexico is a win before you have Alabama at the end of the season, which will be a loss. So 7-5 for Auburn. I'm high on Arkansas. I like Sam Pittman. He's going to go 9-3. Actually, Ole Miss should be ahead of these guys, or before these guys. Let's just do that right now. But you know I'm high on Arkansas. Ole Miss is going to go 8-4. They'll beat Mercer. They'll win at Tulane. They're not going to be able to have that surprise factor because they beat USC in the bowl game. So Mississippi will be ready for them. And then Georgia Tech is a win. At Alabama's a loss, though. LSU loss. Arkansas at home is a win. Then you get your bye. At Auburn is a win. Vanderbilt is a win. Texas A&M is a win. And then at Georgia is a loss. But ULM and at Mississippi State, you split them. I think you win versus ULM and lose to Mississippi State 8-4 for Ole Miss. All right, now let's do Arkansas, which is going to have a surprising season, 9-3, I think. Western Kentucky, Kent State, BYU, all wins at home. And then you go to LSU, that's a loss. Texas A&M in a neutral site is a win. Jerry Jones will be happy about that. At Ole Miss is a loss, though, and at Alabama, loss. Mississippi State at home, though, is a win. Then you get your bye week before you go to Florida. And I think you beat Florida on the road in the swamp. And then you come home and beat Auburn and FIU and Missouri. 9-3 for Arkansas. And here we go. This could be a point of contention. Alabama. Alabama is second in the West to LSU. Alabama will beat Middle Tennessee. I think they'll beat Texas at home. Like I said, quarterback doesn't really matter if you have an elite team around it and you play physical football. At USF is a win. Miss at home. At Mississippi State. Texas A&M. Arkansas. Tennessee at home. All wins. Then they get their bye, and they have LSU. And LSU is at home for them. But I think they lose that game because I think LSU has just as good of a surrounding cast to the quarterback as Alabama does. And I think Jaden Daniels, right? Yep. I think he exploits Alabama at home for them and wins that game. So that's Alabama's first loss and only loss. Because at Kentucky is a win, Chattanooga at Auburn. Win, win, win. Which brings up LSU. So keep in mind, Alabama's sitting there at 11-1. Florida State is LSU's first opponent, and I think they lose that game. All right, don't gripe my head off. It's a neutral site. FSU is really good too. They have a great team, 85% returning production, a great quarterback coming back. Brian Kelly is going to lose that first game. But Grambling is a win at Mississippi State, Arkansas, at Miss, at Missouri, at Auburn at home, Army. Come on. Like I said, they get their bye after that, and they beat Alabama on the road. And then they beat Florida at home, Georgia State, and Texas A&M. 11-1 for LSU. So you have two teams from the West at 11-1. LSU is going to the conference championship game. So I think Alabama could sneak in if LSU loses that championship game. The SEC, man, what a debacle it is. Vanderbilt in the East is where we're going to start. They're going to beat Hawaii, Alabama A&M, but they're going to lose at Wake Forest. I think they beat UNLV at home, and then they lose the rest of their games, 3-9 for Alabama. Tough schedule, brutal schedule for who they are. Missouri will beat South Dakota, Middle Tennessee State, and they'll lose to Kansas State. But this is where I struggled with Memphis on a neutral site. I think they beat Memphis for some weird reason. And at Vanderbilt is a win for Missouri. The rest are losses. So 4-8 for Missouri. So them are your two teams from the SEC that are going to miss a bowl. Kentucky is next in the East. They'll beat Ball State, Eastern Kentucky, Akron, of course. At Vanderbilt is a win as well. So they'll start 4-0. But Florida is a loss. At Georgia is a loss. Missouri is a win before they have their bye. Tennessee is a loss, though, for Kentucky. Too much firepower under Heupel. At Mississippi State is a loss, too, I think. I think still Will Rogers is a great quarterback. It's going to be tough to beat them on the road. Alabama, of course, is a loss. South Carolina, a loss. And then at Louisville, though, in-state rival, you need this one to make a bowl game, and I think you do. 6-6 for Kentucky. All right, Florida is next. I think they lose at Utah after beating them at home last season by a fluke. McNeese State is a win, but Tennessee is a loss. But Charlotte is a win. So 2-2 versus Cupcakes early. At Kentucky, man, I have to believe that you have more talent than Kentucky, and you go on the road and beat them this time. That's a win. Vanderbilt at home is a win. At South Carolina is a loss, though. I'm high on South Carolina this year. They're one step ahead of Florida. Then they get their bye, Florida does, and they have their neutral site and the cocktail party versus Georgia. I think they lose. Arkansas is a loss. At LSU is a loss. But you finish with 2 wins to make a bowl as well. At Missouri is a win, and Florida State is a win. That's right. I think Florida State beats LSU, but loses to Florida. Next up, and that is a 6-6 record for Florida. Next up is South Carolina. In my SEC predictions, I'll put a link up above somewhere for the Big Ten predictions, which I already posted. You can go watch that and see what you think there. The SEC is a dominant conference, of course. They could get 2 teams in this time instead of the Big Ten, and I had the Big Ten only getting 1 team in so far in these predictions. South Carolina has a neutral site game versus North Carolina, and they have Drake May, but South Carolina has Spencer Rattler and Shane Beamer. It's a border state kind of a rivalry type scenario. I like the SEC in this one. I like South Carolina